All right, I'd like to welcome you to this edition of EMU Today TV. My name is Mark, as I am your host, and we do this each and every single month. And for the last several years, I think it's been about 8 years that we've been doing this. We want to thank all of you for tuning in each and every single month during the academic year at the great institution of Eastern Michigan University. And we're going to continue the conversation this month with a very special, we always have special guests, but a very important topic, Swoop's Pantry. Swoop's Pantry. I'm so glad to have joining us Miss Julie Harkema. She's a lecturer, MSW, admissions coordinator, and she's the Swoop's Food Pantry faculty advisor, and also the graduate assistant, Roya Herrle. Roya Herrle is joining us as well. And I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you both for joining me. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So let's start. This is an important conversation. We're going to unpack the challenges when it comes to food, if you will, a little bit later. But let's start with the very basics, Julie. I'm going to start with you. Give us a historical perspective of Swoop's Pantry.
Great. Yeah. So Swoop's Food Pantry was started in 2015 by a Bachelor in Social Work student, Haley. And she was doing some research and realized that students around her were experiencing hunger and wanted to do something about it. So she started the pantry, and we began in Marshall Hall in an old mailroom and quickly outgrew that. And so we moved over to Pierce Hall. And each year we've been growing in the number of students that use the pantry. So when we first started, we were maybe seeing 10 students a day. Now we're seeing an average, I would say, of 85.
Around 80 students.
Around 80 students a day, but some days we've seen up to 125 students. And so we were very lucky to have Game Above do a donation so that we could expand our services. And so now we have a very large pantry. We offer lots of different things, and it's just brought more awareness of students to us. And we've also worked really hard to break down the stigma of using a pantry. So students feel really comfortable coming in and shopping. It's set up like a grocery store. And so from our beginnings in 2015, from 10 to 15 students a day to now over 100 on some days, it's just getting more and more difficult to keep the shelves stocked with food.
And specifically, we're talking about, for those of you tuning in, we're talking about food insecurity. And we know it's a challenge not just across the country, but also across college campuses. And Roya, I want to come over to you. You're the graduate assistant as it relates to the Swoop's Food Pantry. What exactly is your role as a graduate assistant? And how did you become involved in this important initiative as well?
Absolutely. So the grad assistant role is kind of the day-to-day operations. So a lot of the email interactions, communication, making sure our team is supported. We have a team of employees who are really the face of the pantry. And my role as grad assistant is to really make sure that they're supported in what they're doing. And I kind of take on some of the admin role of food ordering, the day-to-day operation of communicating, emails, phone, different interviews and meetings like this. So that's some of the day-to-day tasks. And my role in the pantry and how I came to be here, I actually did my undergraduate internship with Swoops originally. And then I kind of came back into the role of the grad assistant once I started my master's level programming as a social worker. And so I've kind of had a twofold role.
How many years have you been involved, by the way?
My undergraduate internship started in 2021, and now I've been here. So I took some gap time when I was doing my schooling, but then I came back around this fall.
And here's the reason for my question. What is the biggest difference that you've seen since you first started to where we are today in 24?
Yeah, so in 21, we were looking at a lot of the outcomes after COVID or still during COVID. So we had a lot less in person. There was a lot less day-to-day, a lot less shopper interaction. I would say the biggest difference is really the capacity and accessibility that we have in the pantry. We have much more space physically. We have a lot more shoppers able to come in and utilize the services. There's a much larger team now, which is fantastic. And I would say those pieces are the biggest changes.
So when you say there are shoppers, let's clarify. Is this like an on-campus grocery store where students go into one of the dormitories or the library or whatever, and they literally pick out their food and pay for it? Or is this food basically gratis based on donations?
Yeah, so it's all donation based. but students do come in and they are able to choose their own items. So we don't give them a box. They're able to come through and choose the items that are most applicable to them, the ones that they're going to utilize the most.
So when the
But do-
pantry was set up,
Mhm.
it was set up as what we call a choice pantry. So students come in, we call them shoppers, even though they don't pay for the food. We call them
Yeah.
shoppers just because that's how we started doing it, and to have some dignity, right? For people. So they come in and it feels like they're in a grocery store. Obviously, they don't have as many items that you would in a grocery store, but we try to always have dairy items, eggs, proteins, whether they're meat or tofu kind of things. We have household items, and we even have a free thrift area where people donate gently used items, and students can utilize those. And the nice thing is that sometimes the students donate back those things. So maybe they graduate and then they come and donate an item that they may have gotten from the pantry.
So to clarify one more time, so I walk into this pantry, again, do I pay for it or is it just, I just literally just pick my items and I leave?
The only requirement is that we ask for some information like your student ID, but there's no payment. You just walk through and choose your own items.
So where is the pantry?
So the pantry is located on the first floor of Pierce Hall. That's where our in-person in room 100 is where the in-person pantry is located.
It's interesting, Julie. I walk around campus a lot. I've been an instructor at Eastern now. I think this is my 10th, 11th, 12th year. Time just flies. And I'm a long time, I'm going way back over the years. I'm not gonna say what year it was, like just a couple of years ago. But when I do, for example, walk through the library, some days I see tables here. I guess that's for donations. Talk about those remote locations. Exactly what are those used for? Are
Sure.
they for taking donations? What's their role?
Yeah, so what you were seeing in the library was what we call a satellite pantry. And we started, an intern here started that as a project with the idea that the pantry isn't open all the time. So we thought the library would be a good spot for it. So if students are studying and they need a snack or a juice or a pen or something like that, they could get that. Unfortunately, because it's growing pains, is what I call it right now. We went from seeing, Roya, do you know how many last year? Would you say maybe an average of 50 students a shoppers a day, and
That
now
sounds about right.
now we're up to 80, that we're just having a hard time keeping up. So we haven't been able to stock the satellite pantry in the library for about a month or two, and that's because the items are just going so quickly in the pantry that we don't have enough to take there. So we were just talking about this, and we want to get back to that satellite pantry so that students have access outside of the hours that Swoops is open. But we're going to just have to brainstorm and come up with a way that we can keep it stocked.
Well, and I think in the month of March, I believe there's a for lack of a better phrase, a food drive that's taking place. Is that right? Talk to our viewers about this food drive. Exactly what is it? How can they get involved with it as well?
Absolutely. So the food drive itself is called Stock Swoop Shelves, and essentially it's a way to have different individuals on campus or groups of people on campus as well as off campus give back to the pantry, and they're able to choose sort of an area of focus, if you will. Some people are choosing things like taco night. We have other people choosing things like personal hygiene, and it's a way for them to really hunker down onto one area of focus and ask their group of individuals, whatever they might be, to then bring those items together throughout the month. And we're hoping for the best with it.
As we've come out of the pandemic, here we are, I don't know, 2 or 3 years removed, I guess a year, a couple years removed. Is demand just as great? Is it greater now than it was before the pandemic? And then compared to a year ago, is demand increasing? Has it stabilized, Julie? From your perspective, what are you saying?
I would say we were really lucky to stay open during the pandemic and provide food to people, but because there weren't a lot of people on campus, we didn't have as many shoppers. We are our demand has gone up so much. Like I said earlier, I think last year we were averaging around 50 or 60. Now we're up to 80 a day, and we're open every day. So I like to share with people sometimes to illustrate it is to say that could be 80 dozen eggs a day, if people are coming through. And it's really hard to keep 80 dozen eggs in the pantry every day. So that's why we started this Stock Swoop Shelves event, not only to get items that are really popular in the pantry and that help students be able to stay focused on their studies and not worry about where their next meal is coming from, but also just to raise awareness about the fact that we are seeing so many shoppers and there's so much need that we need the support of our community. The students that shop in the pantry come from all of the different colleges, so it's not just one, we're not just seeing it from one college, we're seeing it from, College of Business and College of Arts and Sciences. And so we just want to make sure that the community and the university is educated on the fact that this really does support students. We have so many students share with us things like, I wouldn't have graduated without Swoops, or, knowing I don't have to take an extra shift, I can focus on my studies, really means a lot to students. And then we know that then they're going out into the community with their degree completed and reaching their goals, and hope that they'll reach back to us, just like the Game Above Association has done.
We have a couple of minutes remaining. You kind of jumped to my next question. Roy, I want to come back over to you. We just talk about the student response. I mean, Julie talked about it briefly. From your perspective as a graduate assistant, you're closer to the students, so to speak. Talk about their response to you directly. What are they saying to you? How are they feeling after they go to the pantry?
Yeah, I would say very highly. There's a great level of appreciation for most of the shoppers that we see and the students that we see on a regular basis are incredibly grateful. And we do hear, there's a short thank you here and there. Sometimes we hear longer stories of, people really being able to make a difference in their academic lives by utilizing us as a resource. So the day-to-day is very empowering for those individuals. We want to give them a space to be able to come here and get what they need. And then it's really shown that with their appreciation and their gratitude.
I got to say personally, this is a tough conversation. It's an awesome conversation. It's a tough conversation because we're talking about food insecurity. And I take things for granted. We all take things for granted, but we have people out there who don't take certain things for granted. And this is an awesome program that's being offered by Eastern Michigan University. Julie, I want to give you a chance to add anything else in 15 or 20 seconds. And also, is there a website where people can get more information?
Yeah, so you can get more information at swoops_pantry at emich.edu. You can sign up for this food drive. You can also access donating monetarily, because we do use donated monies to buy the foods that we don't get donated in a food drive. So any monetary donations, we also have an Amazon wish list that people can use. And we just really appreciate the support, and just want everyone to know that this support helps students graduate and it helps them reach their goals of their degree.
Julie Harkema and Roya Herrle, I want to thank you both from certainly Swoop's Food Pantry for the great work that you're doing. We'd encourage as many of you as possible to go to the website, get more information. We appreciate both of you. Both of you, thank you for your hard work. I'll make it a great day as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. What we're going to do is take a quick break, give you a chance to watch a couple of great videos about Eastern and Michigan University. And when we come back, we're going to talk about digital marketing with Eastern students as well. Hang tight. We'll be right back.
Welcome to tomorrow. Opportunity knocks to awaken us, asking who we will be. What will we answer? It's time to rise to discovery, to nurture what excites you, to work in tandem, to gain a deeper understanding of what connects us all and move us forward. It's time to test our resolve, to achieve every day in every way, to challenge every bit of what we believe we know. The goal, to become more of the most remarkable individual you are. The gleaming new buildings on this campus rise next to ivy-covered walls that remember. This university was founded on a tradition of the greatest discovery we can make together. Who you will become next. Eastern Michigan University. Be true. EMU. U.S. News and World Report's Best Colleges rankings are the gold standard for universities across the nation. What are they saying about Eastern Michigan University? Best in engineering, best in nursing, best in psychology, best in online graduate business, and best in online graduate education. See how Eastern Michigan University prepares you for the job you're looking for and the career that will change your life. That's true. EMU.
All right, welcome back to EMU Today TV. My name is Mark Esley. I hope you enjoyed those videos. Great things continue to happen here at Eastern Michigan University. Hey, by the way, it's hard to believe now, all of a sudden spring is here. And not far behind spring, of course, is summer. So our next guest is going to talk about a major event that will be coming down the pike a little bit later this semester or this academic year going into the summer months. Professor Bud Gibson is the director of EMU's Center for Digital Engagement. And what are the plans? They have plans for this year's Digital Summer Clinic, which will be connecting students with their digital careers. Bud, Dr. Gibson, I should say, thanks for joining
Bud's
me.
fine. Yeah.
All right, Bud, thank you very much for joining me. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you, Mark? It's been a while. I've been seeing you on the social medias, but seem to be doing well.
I think I'm doing okay, and I'd like to thank you for joining me. So let's talk briefly about the Center for Digital Engagement. Exactly what is that?
Okay, so we started this about a decade ago, and the idea was to bring together a number of threads at Eastern, all focused on, well, at the time, and still, I'm focused on digital marketing, but we have people doing PR, we have people doing graphic design, we have people doing digital media all around the university, and the goal was to kind of bring those threads together. We have a fall conference that we do, and then we have this internship
A very
that we
popular
run in the
fall
summer.
conference. Very popular fall conference, by the way. Go ahead.
Yes, no, and in particular, you know, there was a dip during the pandemic, obviously, couldn't be live, we're virtual, and then had to bring live back, but we're kind of back up to our previous volumes that we had pre-pandemic, and that feels really good. And then in the summer, we have this internship, the Digital Summer Clinic. It's open to Eastern students, and typically, and there's 48 positions available. So this is not just some, you know, we've got a couple of folks who can have internships. We have 48. Roughly half to 2/3 of those are taken up by Eastern students. And then we do also recruit from other schools in the area, WCC, Schoolcraft, U of M also, they send their students over. We get some of those. Michigan State, Wayne State, UD Mercy. So we bring in people from all schools, but like I say, it's about half to 2/3 Eastern. We have mentors, executives in residence. Those are all Eastern alums. It's a great time, runs for about 9 weeks in the summer. We're doing recruiting right now.
And talk about the types of companies that have come in the past, if you will, to recruit some of the students. Where have they landed, for example, in past years after they've gone through the program, gone through this activity? Kind of talk about the types of jobs that have been available to them, because this is a growing area. Digital marketing is hot right now.
Yeah.
So talk about the experience that some of the students have had in the past.
Well, so a lot of students go into agencies. A lot of them go to work for local companies. Zingerman's would be an example of a local company, but as with Google Ann Arbor, we're going to be having our Google Ann Arbor tour coming up here at the end of this month. That's an Eastern alum, and it's going to be an EMU alumni hosted tour. Also Pinterest, strangely enough, they have a Detroit office focused on automotive, and we have a senior former clinic intern, became clinic mentor, and he's there, and we've done a number of, at this stage, virtual tours with Pinterest. I prospect the rocket companies formerly called Quicken, and so just for GM, you know, just to kind of name some of the biggies.
And it's a nice way of getting their foot in the door as well. I mean, we know that there are many young people out there. We know that the recruiting season is starting right now. As we referenced, spring is literally right around the corner, which means summer is too. So talk about the recruiting process in terms of the kids and the students, I say. Are they actively looking for internships right now, or is that still in the infancy phase?
That's we actually opened recruiting. You can apply. You've been able to apply since early in February. Those applications will remain open through April 30th. And what we find, there are two waves. There's the early wave, you know, the people who are kind of you know, up and ready and seeking internships. And then there's the later wave where I think people kind of wake up and say, oh my gosh, I need to do something this summer. We'll typically get about half our applications in the month of April. Already we've collected well over 100 just in our first month of recruiting in February. And so I would expect that we'll have somewhere between 400 and 500 applications.
Or how many how many slots will there be?
Well, we have 48. Okay.
48,
And
wow.
if you know anything about recruiting, 400 or 500 is a good number to get a quality 48 out of, because,
That's right.
you know, as you mentioned, I mean, they're out there recruiting some of them. And so we won't get them. They'll have another internship lined up. So you've got to have a big number.
And it's my understanding that these young students, or these students, I should say, are getting paid as well for the internship. What's the average pay per hour for the student interns?
So we expect to pay over $18 per hour. It's a fixed rate for everybody this year. And that is actually, so the funding actually comes from something called an LDFA here in the area. So they set the wage according to the Ann Arbor minimum wage. And the Ann Arbor or living wage or whatever they call it, but that's going to be over $18 an hour. We're not sure exactly what that will be set sort of around April, May.
You know, and we talk to those viewing in about the expansion of digital marketing. As you know, I've been teaching marketing for quite a while. And, you know, from my personal perspective, you've seen the evolution of digital marketing. When I first started teaching, so to speak, it was more the traditional marketing, right? TV advertising, print, those types of media, if you will. But over the years, from my perspective, I've seen the importance of the expansion of digital marketing. Talk about it. You're more the expert than I am. So talk about the growth in that area and why students are beginning to pursue this particular field, so to speak. And what are companies looking for from the students who are going to be starting there?
Okay, so digital marketing. So I kind of started in this field myself in 2008, originally as part of the Computer Information Systems program. And at that time, you could say that digital accounted for maybe 10% or less of marketing spend. So, you know, it's up there, but it was a niche. And then you look at it where it is now, and it's over 50% of marketing spend. And that's in part because basically everything moved to digital. So we're all streaming now. We're all reading the newspaper online. And all of that comes out to be digital advertising. Okay, which is very targeted. They know a lot about you. They know which ads to serve you. We don't all get the same ads. And so there's a couple of skill sets that I think employers are looking for. Can you kind of tune in to these digital platforms? Can you manage social media campaigns, as an example? Can you manage for a company, not just your own personal brand, but for a company, speak in the company's voice? Can you manage digital advertising? And so do you understand how it works? Can you work across more than one platform? Do you learn quickly? And then the other side is, and this is not as intimidating as it might sound, is how are you at understanding data? And this is not, you have to be like a statistician or something like that. This is like, I can look at a dashboard of numbers, kind of like you look at the speedometer on your car, and I can figure out whether to do more of this or more of that to get a better result. And then use it to help figure out my audience.
You know, as you're talking, I'm smiling because I'm one of those. You put all that data in front of me, I'm like, whoa, you know, but yet to hear you, a wonderful job of explaining the evolution of digital marketing, digital advertising, what it is, because you're right, we're not going back. We're only looking ahead. And I remember one of my stops in corporate America, I was a CMO for a major organization. They said, Mark, we want you to help grow our digital platform. Now, obviously, I was a little bit more mature. I was that was due to be at that time in my career. So one of the things I did, Bud, was I hired a bunch of younger folks who grew up in this space, so to speak, and they took us from point A to point Z in terms of growth. When I was able to provide the overall strategy and the business approach, they understood the tactics very well, and they also did a wonderful job of analyzing the data in such a way. They put it in language that I understood, that management understood, and from a business perspective, we were able to leverage our resources effectively. So I think as we look ahead, certainly this area is going to continue to grow. Would you agree that's going to continue to grow? Is it going to stabilize, or what are your stats
Well,
telling you?
no, I think it will continue to grow. I think one of the things you saw is there was this spurt upward during the pandemic because
Yes.
basically everybody was locked in their house, and the only way you could communicate was basically over the computer. And that went away, and so then people are, back out and about again. But what you saw was there was a big change. The growth rate is not what it was during the pandemic, but there's still a growth rate. We now rely on digital. You want to find out about a company or a store. What do? You go Google them, okay? We're watching less TV over the airwaves, and we're watching it on the screen. And also, we're probably watching less produced TV and more creator content on platforms like YouTube, Instagram. It's there. It's going to continue to be a thing. Now, that said, physical advertising and in-person marketing events are not going to go away. It's just that that used to be what you did. It used to be you had the billboard. It used to be you had the radio spot. And those are becoming a smaller thing, but they'll still be there.
As we wrap up, about a minute remaining, talk one more time briefly about the Digital Summer Clinic. Again, briefly give us an overview and whether or not there's a website where people can go register as well as get more information as well.
Well, let me start with that website. It's digitalsummer.clinic. And if you just Google Digital Summer Clinic, we come right up at the top because of our domain and all the places we have pointing at us. We are recruiting interns currently through April 30th. You apply on the website. It's clear where to go. We're looking for people who are in post-secondary education. So that can be college students, Eastern, big recruiting ground for us. It could be community college students. It could be people who are coming back and retreading themselves at a community college. So it's not necessarily you have to be 19 or 20. We've had people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. Now, obviously, I think our biggest group is, between 19 and 25, okay? But we're open to all ages, and we're really just looking for current students or recent grads in some sort of post-secondary program.
Bud Gibson, I want to thank you very much. Again, he's professor and director of EMU's Center for Digital Engagement. Talk about the upcoming Digital Summer Clinic, and there will be internship opportunities certainly coming from that as well. Thank you very much for all the hard work you're doing and much continued success.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. And to all of you, thank you for tuning in this month for EMU Today TV. We will check you out next month with a new edition as we head into the end of the academic year and into the summer months. Go out, make it a great day, make it a great weekend. We will check you out next month on EMU Today TV.